All right, let's dive in. We're going to crack the code of YouTube success today. We're taking a page from a real pro, Tatsuo Koyama. This guy is a Japanese entrepreneur and consultant. And get this, he's built some serious YouTube audiences himself.
Yeah, he's not just talking the talk.
Right, like he's been there, done that.
Totally. And on top of that, he's helped top business leaders figure out how to really use the platform. What gets me about his whole approach is it's all strategy and data. It's not about chasing, trends or just hoping to go viral or something.
So he's got those seats, huh?
Yeah, and his background is, well, it's amazing. He built Japan's largest avatar trading site.
Oh, wow.
And he's been a marketing consultant for over 400,000 business leaders. It's crazy.
That's got to be why his advice is gold, right? What's the standout thing about his background for you? How does that connect to YouTube?
Well, he's even worked with Steve Wozniak, from Apple.
Yeah.
And Steve Chen, one of the YouTube co-founders. I mean, this guy knows business.
Yeah.
And he brings that same thinking to YouTube.
It's not just YouTube stuff, then. He's bringing all that other experience to the table.
He's got his hands in so many different businesses, too. Real estate, entertainment, you name it.
So he's got that wide lens, for sure.
That's what leads to this 3 logics framework he talks about, which he says is the foundation for YouTube success. It all starts with mindset and thinking.
Okay, break that down for me. Mindset and thinking. What's he getting at?
So he's all about having a really clear goal for your channel. Like, why are you even on YouTube?
Not just to be YouTube famous, right?
No, it's got to be deeper than that.
Got to have a real purpose.
You have to. He's big on this thing, working backward from the goal. Before you even make anything, you got to figure out where you want to end up,
I like that. Like setting your GPS before you hit the road.
That's it. So do you want influence, ad revenue, customers? You got to know that first.
So you can map out the path.
Yeah. All right, logic number 2 is marketing. This is where it gets interesting because Kayama thinks bad marketing is why most channels never grow.
That's a bold statement.
It's the main reason.
Wow. So how does he see YouTube marketing then?
3 key things: trend analysis, list making, and media making.
List making. For folks who aren't, marketing experts, what's that all about?
Basically, building an email list.
Right.
Give your viewers valuable content, some incentives, so they sign up.
I get it. So you can connect with them directly.
Yep. Promote your stuff later on.
Like building your own fan club.
Exactly. And the trend analysis part, this is where Koyama's data stuff shines. He wants creators to use tools like vidIQ. It's this platform that helps you analyze all the YouTube data.
I've heard of that.
Find those hot keywords and topics.
So it's not just chasing trend. It's like strategically tapping into what people are already watching.
Right. Then there's media making, which means using traditional media.
You mean like TV, radio, that kind of thing?
Exactly. Alongside your YouTube channel, spread the word, get more people to see you.
You're not just relying on the YouTube algorithm to find you.
Right. You're being proactive.
I like it. It's interesting. He said that 30 to 50-year-olds are the fastest growing demographic on YouTube. I wouldn't have guessed that.
It's true. People think it's just for kids, but older folks are getting way more active.
So many assumptions.
It shows you can't just assume who your audience is. You got to really understand them if you want to make content that connects.
Big opportunity for creators who can tap into that older demographic then.
Huge. Okay, and bringing us to logic number 3, YouTube strategy. This is where you take those first 2 logics and make a plan.
So it's like strategy is the glue that holds everything together.
It is. Remember, Koyama's all about data and analytics. You got to track your channel, figure out what metrics matter, then use that info to adjust your strategy as you go.
You got to stay engaged with the data.
Always. So you mentioned goals earlier. What does Koyama say? It's like, what's in it for me? Why should someone build a YouTube channel? What's the point? Well, he outlines 7 big benefits, or merits as he calls them, to having a successful YouTube channel.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first one is influence. As you build an audience, you gain influence in your niche, right? Think brand partnerships, speaking gigs, maybe even a book deal.
Yeah, influence can really open doors.
Big time. Then, of course, there's AdSense. That's the moneymaker for a lot of YouTubers.
Passive income, right?
More views equals more money.
That's the dream.
And then we've got list building, which we talked about. Imagine having an email list of, say, 10,000 engaged fans.
Wow.
That's a direct line to promote whatever you want.
Powerful stuff.
Then there's customer acquisition. Your channel can bring in new customers to your website, your business, whatever you're selling.
So businesses can use YouTube for growth.
It's a huge tool for that. Then there's selling the channel itself.
You can sell your channel?
You can. A successful channel adds value to your business, makes it more attractive to buyers.
It's like building an asset you can cash in on later.
That's it. And then as your channel grows, you get more clout, you start to attract corporate partnerships.
I've seen that happen a lot.
Big companies want to reach new audiences, and YouTube is the place to do it.
Makes sense.
And last but not least, get this, in some cases, a successful channel can even make you eligible for government grants and subsidies.
I never thought of that.
There's financial support out there.
Wow. So, okay, he calls them merits, but they're way more than that, right? These are like life-changing possibilities. I get it. He's saying think bigger, build an empire. But how do you actually put all this into practice? How do you build a successful channel? I always like to see a good example, just to make things really click, you know? Does Koyama give any real-world examples of how this actually plays out?
Oh yeah, tons. He's got all these case studies of successful channels that used his strategies.
Okay, awesome. Let's hear about some. Where do we start?
One that's really interesting is this tax consultant. The channel's called Tax Consultant Shigawara. And it's like the perfect example of how to find your audience, share valuable info that's really niche specific.
So they found their lane.
They did, and they really owned it.
What made them so successful?
Well, they were super clear about who they were targeting, people who wanted tax advice, financial tips, that kind of thing. So they made their content to meet those needs, even gave away some like insider strategies.
So they're giving away real value.
Yeah, and they weren't afraid to get into the nitty-gritty of taxes, which, you know, it can be a bit of a touchy subject.
Yeah, it's not the most exciting thing to talk about.
Right, but they made it interesting.
So they found that balance informative but still engaging.
They did. They got 100,000 subscribers in just 4 months.
Wow, that's incredible.
That was the second highest growth rate in Japan at the time.
That's huge. Okay, so finding your niche, providing value, that's key. Got another one.
Okay, this one's pretty wild. Lion Brothers U.S. Stocks Fire is strongest.
That's a mouthful.
It is. It's run by this serial entrepreneur and investor who also has a financial school.
Okay, so they're serious about finance.
Oh yeah, they actually got a Guinness World Record on TikTok.
Wait, hold on. How does a finance channel get a Guinness World Record on TikTok?
They used the power of repetition. They said, let's invest over and over again on TikTok for an hour straight.
No way.
I'm serious. Set a record for most times saying that phrase.
Okay, but that's hilarious. And I bet it got them a ton of attention.
It did. Their YouTube channel blew up too, over 200,000 subscribers.
That's brilliant. Shows you don't always have to play by the rules, right?
You can get creative, have some fun with it, and still see results.
Love it. Any other examples where someone got creative with the marketing?
Okay, this one's more traditional, but super effective. God's Tax Saving. This channel run by a tax accountant, they focused on building a personal brand on YouTube to grow their business.
Okay, interesting.
They were consistent with their videos, always high quality, giving practical advice.
So they became the YouTube tax expert.
Exactly. It led to tons of new client inquiries for their accounting services. They made over 100 million yen in revenue just from consulting and courses, all from YouTube.
That's the power of building trust and authority, right? People see you as the expert.
It is. Okay, remember Koyama talked about corporate partnerships?
Yeah.
There's a perfect example with Mariko Mabuchi's Stock Club.
Remind me, what's the big deal with corporate partnerships again?
It's leveraging those big company resources,
Right.
their audience, their expertise, maybe even funding. It's a win-win for both sides.
Got it. So what about Mariko Mabuchi's Stock Club?
This channel is run by a financial analyst. They give really good commentary on stocks, investments, all that.
Yeah.
They've managed to get partnerships and collaborations with all kinds of companies, which has really boosted their visibility and credibility.
So they're aligning with those bigger players.
Yep, it makes them look more legitimate, helps them reach a wider audience.
Smart. Now, what about selling high-ticket items on YouTube? Is that even possible?
Oh yeah, there are some amazing examples of channels doing that successfully.
Give me an example. How does that even work?
Okay, check out Craftsman President's House Building Construction Company.
That's a long one.
It is, but it works. It's run by a construction company president, over 20 years of experience.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking custom homes. Those are definitely high-ticket.
Right. They share all this valuable advice about building your dream home.
Okay.
How to avoid mistakes, make smart decisions.
Positioning themselves as the experts?
Exactly. It builds trust with viewers.
So when someone's ready to build, they're going to think of this channel.
Makes sense, right. Any other examples in the high-ticket world? There's YouTube Real Estate, run by a licensed architect who's also a real estate agent and financial planner.
Wow, they wear a lot of hats.
They do. They give advice on everything. Property inspections, floor plan analysis, you name it.
So they're covering all the bases.
They are, and it works. They've built a whole system for attracting clients who are into real estate investing.
It's wild to me that you can sell something as complex as real estate on YouTube.
Right. It's all about that valuable content, building trust, becoming the go-to expert.
Love it. Okay, I'm convinced. What about targeting a niche demographic? Any examples of that?
Mouth Beauty Kaori Sensei is a great one. It's run by a dentist who focuses on what they call mouth beauty.
I've heard of this one. They're all about that cosmetic dentistry, right?
Exactly. They found this perfect niche within the dental market. Smile makeovers, that's their thing.
It shows how niching down can be so powerful. You're speaking directly to a very specific audience.
It works. Speaking of experts, there's Live 100 Years Eye Doctor channel run by an ophthalmologist who's done research at Harvard and Stanford.
Whoa, they've got the credentials.
Right. They use the channel to share tips on eye health, maintaining your vision, all that.
Makes sense.
Because of their YouTube channel, they've attracted patients from all over, even people who travel long distances to see them.
That's amazing. YouTube can really break down those geographical barriers.
It can. What about teamwork? Koyama was big on building a strong team, right?
He was.
Well, there are some channels that have really used teamwork to their advantage. Lucky Living Channel is a good example.
Okay, tell me more.
They actually outsourced their video production to a company that specializes in YouTube content.
Interesting. So they focus on what they were good at, making the content, and let the experts handle the technical side.
Exactly. It worked out great. The production company brought in new ideas, experimented with different thumbnails, really elevated the quality of their videos.
So they got that outside perspective.
Yeah. It led to a big jump in views, engagement, subscribers, the whole 9 yards.
It's like having an all-star team backing you up.
That's it. And for our final example, let's look at Fortune Rising Channel. They're all about adapting and evolving your content.
Okay, what did they change?
They realized their initial concept wasn't really working, so they did a complete rebrand, changed their channel name, logo, their whole on-screen persona.
Wow, that's a big move.
It was. They even changed their video style.
Did it work?
It did. They started getting way more subscribers, got featured in the media, even landed book deals and corporate partnerships.
So they took a step back, analyzed what wasn't working, and made some big changes.
They weren't afraid to shake things up.
I love that. Okay, all these examples are super inspiring, you know. They show there's not one right way to do YouTube.
Definitely not. It's all about finding what works for you.
Right.
But those core principles Koyana talks about, those are important no matter what.
Whether you're a tax consultant, a construction company, a dentist, whatever, there's a place for you on YouTube.
There is. And all these channels, they're unique, but they all share that common thread, right? They have a clear goal, a strategy, they understand their audience, and they're using data to guide them.
That's the Koyama formula. It's amazing how those strategies can work for so many different types of channels.
Right. It's about finding your own path, but those core principles, those are universal.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Koyama's playbook, let's recap some of those key takeaways, the things that can really help you build that YouTube empire.
Okay, sounds good. Where do we start?
Well, first things first, you got to define your why. Why are you even on YouTube?
Yeah, a lot of people skip that part.
They do.
They just want to be famous, but they haven't thought about why.
Exactly. Without that clear purpose, it's easy to get lost. Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so you know your why. Now you got to think about your audience. Who are you making these videos for?
Koyama was big on that.
He was.
You got to know your audience to make content that really connects.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the data.
Right.
Use those tools like vidIQ, YouTube Analytics.
Track your progress, see what's working.
Make smart decisions based on the numbers, not just your gut feeling.
Data-driven, always. Anything else we should remind everyone about?
Remember the 3X rule?
Oh, yeah? What was that again?
Successful channels usually have way more views than subscribers.
3 times more, right?
At least. So it's not enough to just get subscribers.
Got to make videos people actually want to watch.
Exactly. And you can use that rule to your advantage. Look at other channels in your niche. If their views are consistently 3x their subs, study what they're doing.
That's such a good tip. Reverse engineer that success.
Right. And don't be afraid to specialize.
Find your niche.
Yeah, we saw all those examples of channels that got big by focusing on a specific thing.
Sometimes you got to niche down to stand out.
Totally. And another thing, you don't need all that fancy equipment to get started.
Oh yeah, forget the gear, focus on the content.
Exactly. Right? Koyama says just use your phone, it's enough.
Don't let the tech hold you back.
And then once you start growing, build your team. You can't do it all yourself.
Delegate, collaborate.
Yeah, get help with filming, editing, marketing, all that stuff.
And remember, capital efficiency.
Leverage other people's resources, partnerships, collaborations. And hey, if you see something that works, adapt it for your niche. Don't reinvent the wheel.
That's great advice.
And find a mentor, someone who can guide you.
Mentorship is so valuable.
It can save you so much time and hassle.
So one last thing, remember that YouTube is always changing.
The landscape is constantly shifting.
To be a student, stay curious, experiment, and adapt.
I don't get stuck in your ways.
Always be learning.
So much good stuff today.
It's been a great deep dive into the world of YouTube. Now, before we go, I have a question for you, the listener.
Ooh, I like this.
What's one thing you learned today that you're going to take action on? What's one step you can take right now to move your channel, your business forward?
Write it down, make it happen.
Because your YouTube success story is out there waiting for you. That's it for our deep dive into YouTube strategies. Until next time, keep learning, keep creating, and keep pushing those boundaries.